All right. Can I have your attention, please? May I humbly request those that just walked in to take up your seats, please, so that we should get started. And maintain your silence at the very same time. Okay, I know for most of us it has easily been such an involving day, considering the presentations that we have had to go through, witness, as well as, request clarity over, including the poster presentations. But thank you very much for making it through this afternoon at this Science Cafe. In a very special way, this afternoon, allow me to acknowledge the presence of the following. The keynote speaker, Professor Melissa Gladstone, African Global Health Communication Leadership Fellow from the University of Carolina, Honorable Dr. Ben Perry, here present. WHO representative, Dr. Triza Waga, Vice Chancellor, Public and Private Universities present. The Executive Deans, Kamuzu University of Health Sciences, Heads of Department, Kamuzu University of Health Sciences, Kamuzu University of Health Sciences Corporate Partners, Chief Executive Officers of Public and Private Companies present, Research Dissemination Conference sponsors, Directors, CUHES Research Affiliates, students, sponsors present, Chairperson and members of the RIDC Organizing Committee that have done truly an outstanding job, members of CUHES staff and students, President, Student Representative Council, Mr. Eric Mageti, President, CUHES Alumni Association, Mr. Pempero Mpande, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I can feel the energy. Is it because you guys just came back from eating? Good afternoon one more time. Oh, we're going to have an energetic afternoon this afternoon, because not only are we here for a panel discussion, we are also here for a poetry performance. And far from that, we're going to have a very good time, because I do believe scientists are all about having a good time. And without taking too much of your time, my name is Yanko Seonda. I'm your host. I'll also be your moderator this afternoon for the panel discussion. And this afternoon, this surely wouldn't have been a possibility without UGI. And let's give a round of applause to UGI, please. Representing UGI this afternoon is the COO, Mr. McDonald Chibwe. Let's give him a big hand as he's coming through to provide a word or two.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests. Allow me to ride on the protocols that have been observed, and also to recognize Dr. Ben P. Honorable for being present here, and also the professors that are in front, and all the organizing committee for this function. My name is McDonald. I am the COO of UGI. As sponsors, we are very proud, and we want to agree with the theme that is here, that research in health, it spurs economic growth. As a company, one of our tenets is innovation, and we invest a lot in research. We invest a lot in understanding the dynamics of our business, including vested interest in the health sector. One of our findings in one of the researches that we carried out was that there is high carnage in the roads of Malawi. We have a lot of accidents, and one of the driving factors is reckless driving. Another factor is drink and drive, fatigue, as one of the key contributors of accidents. As a company, we did a research with South African this great occasion, that we would continue partnering with you going forward, and even our margin of sponsoring would also be increasing as we grow together. And I want to really woo you into working with UGI, because we don't just believe in making profits, but we believe that once you are alive, you can achieve every vision and every dream. And working through this R&D that is vested in the health sector, we believe we can also even extend ourselves in terms of our footprint by collaborating on a number of findings that they come from these researches. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not my day. Allow me to take seat, but I really appreciate for this opportunity that you even speak as part of the sponsors. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. McDonald Chiwe. There you have it from our sponsor this afternoon, UGI, been a partner for the cafe. And last year they were also with us. One more time, let's give them a big hand. We're airing live on... One, two. All right. Apologies for such technical hitches. But we're airing live on Times Television. We are also streaming on their Facebook page, Times 360 Malawi. So in the midst of our discussion this afternoon, we will open up to the audience to provide questions as well as comments. Such will also be observed on the social media platform, Times 360 Malawi. So for all of you, wherever you are that are watching us this afternoon, feel free to be a part of this conversation. Would like it to be building, would like it to be fruitful as well. This afternoon, we'll be dwelling much on linking multidisciplinary health research, innovation, and economic development in Malawi. We'll discuss at length pitfalls, successes, as well as opportunities in this regard. The idea is by addressing these pitfalls, building on successes, and leveraging opportunities, Malawi can make progress in linking multidisciplinary health research, innovation, and economic development to improve the health and well-being of its population. But to help us understand this better, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, at this very moment, to call forth the following individuals who are also going to be our panelists. The first one is a professor and head in the Department of Community and Environmental Health, School of Global and Public Health, Kamuzu University of Health Sciences. He's also the president of the East, Central, and Southern Africa College of Public Health Physicians and a founding member and trustee of the Academy of Sciences in the country. He has been the editor-in-chief of the Malawi Medical Journal since the year 2019. Please put your hands together for Professor Adamson S. Mola. Joining us as a second panelist is a public health expert with a background in medicine and a master's degree in public health. Currently, he's pursuing a PhD in public health. His research focuses on developing an intervention to improve the implementation of integrated disease surveillance, a key area for strengthening health security. Quite recently, it may interest you that he has been involved in a wide range of research topics, including COVID-19, cholera, mental health, healthcare, waste management, just to mention but a few. And in addition, he has played a pivotal role in national health programs, providing leadership in research, surveillance, and policy implementation. He is the Principal Health Research Officer, Head of Research Science Section, Division of Research, Public Health Institute of Malawi within the Ministry of Health. Please put your hands together for Dr. Zinkambani Kambalame. And joining us, lastly, is a Senior Research Fellow, a co-founder and Deputy Director of the Health Economics and Policy Unit at the Kamuzu University of Health Sciences. He has more than 21 years of experience in Malawi's health sector, and surely he has played a central role in shaping national health policy, including conceptualizing the current generation of health sector reforms and institutionalizing health economics and policy analysis in the country. His expertise spans health financing reforms, public financial management, and system-wide evaluations. Warmly, please welcome to the stage Dr. Dominic Nkoma. The conversation that we're having this afternoon will span for relatively an hour, 30 minutes. The idea is to understand from these panelists their clarity over the theme that we're discussing this afternoon. Each one of them will be provided with a goal, maximum of 3 at most, to put across an explanation, and then we'll move to the next person, and we'll treat this as a conversation in nature. At the very end, we'll open up to the public. Be there any questions, any statements that you may wish to put across, some places that perhaps you couldn't understand, please feel free to ask those questions. And just as a gentle reminder, those watching us on Times TV, as well as streaming on Times 360 Malawi, that is our Facebook page. Those especially on Times 360 Malawi, please provide those comments as well as questions. We definitely would love to hear from you. But for a start, our panelists this afternoon, welcome and good afternoon. I think you all have microphones, if I'm not mistaken. So perhaps Professor Maola, we'll start with you, if you can get a hold of a microphone where you are. The responses come in better. Good afternoon, Professor.
Good afternoon.
And I'm hoping that you're well this afternoon. I'm hoping you're well this afternoon.
Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm all right, too. Anyways, let's get started. For a non-scientific audience, what does multidisciplinary health research mean?
Okay, thank you very much. You surprised me because it's not always, often the case that I get greeted. So it was unusual. It was unusual. The question about multidisciplinary research, I mean, it's a conjoint term, isn't it? Multidisciplinary. Multi meaning many. So multidisciplinary means that many disciplines are coming together for research. And in terms of discipline, one could look at, for the purposes of people that are here, clinical medicine, public health, nursing, sociology, psychology, engineering. I mean, we can list law, we can list the disciplines, and these disciplines coming together for a research purpose. And what does it mean? It means that the different experiences of the disciplines are being brought to bear, and these disciplines differ in ways that they understand issues, because disciplines do understand issues differently, dependent on what are the assumptions of that discipline. And as you do that, then, because in research, it means bringing together people that are conducting that research from different disciplines, their thinking, and the design of the research. And the design include the approaches. And often people are used to mixed methods as an example, but not covering everything in multidisciplinary research. But mixed methods is such one approach that encourages multidisciplinarity, because there are certain disciplines that have got a lot more experience, for instance, in qualitative research, and some disciplines that are much more inclined, say, to quantitative methods. And that then, as data are being collected, its analysis also brings together the different disciplines, because the different disciplines see problems in many ways. I didn't want to say in different ways, because in some ways it's similar ways, but not necessarily the same. and then analysis, and then interpretation. And after, of course, interpretation, the value that one may see in those sorts of research. So it's like research for every knowledge systems, if I may use that sort of definition. So it brings all of us together to tackle problems that are common to us, but using the different backgrounds, frameworks, theoretical understandings, and interpretation.
Still sticking with you, Professor Moula, while we are discussing the subject of bringing things together, at the intersection of health research, innovation, as well as economic development in the country, what is the biggest opportunity and, of course, the main pitfall to avoid?
So I mean, the biggest opportunity I see now is that the developing capabilities that are in the different disciplines. Because, I mean, we can talk about multidisciplinary research, but if the different disciplines have different strengths, then it's very difficult to do research together. Research can be quite territorial, and so people would want to interact with people that they respect, that they believe that they are bringing value on the table. The other thing is, I guess, appreciation, even in one's discipline. If one brings to the table a limited understanding of their own discipline, then it becomes also difficult to interact with others that may know and have got a lot more experience. So, you know, because otherwise then we could end up with disciplines that come into multidisciplinary research as superior to others, and that may not be very helpful, because the disciplines, I believe that disciplines may be different, but disciplines, there's no discipline that is inferior or discipline that is inferior. And maybe also to add, from what I've already said, I would say, well, I mean, in multidisciplinary research, you're bringing in, for instance, people from the arts and humanities, people from the social sciences, people from the medical sciences, from the allied health sciences, and I could add engineering and so on, then doing research together.
Perhaps I also wanted us to focus on the opportunities that, you know, can also be extracted from such.
So I don't know when you're talking about opportunities. Firstly, I would say that opportunities currently is that many funders do appreciate that multidisciplinary research is much more valuable than single discipline research. So that's an opportunity that is there from funding, but also within our institutions. More and more people are emerging that are experts in their domains. And when people are experts in their own domains, others also value what they perhaps do singly. And so people are inviting each other and say, well, you know, you're going to bring value to what I'm doing. Already you're creating multidisciplinarity. But if it is opportunities for society, is that then the society gets holistic sort of interpretation for the research, and therefore the utility, the value of that research is greater than if just one discipline looked at a research problem.
Now to you, Dr. Nkoma, there has been a running conversation talking about investing in health research projects. The question coming to you is, how can Malawi ensure that investment in health research and innovation generates measurable economic returns?
Yeah, thanks so much. I think the first point that I think as researchers we need to bear in mind is funding. The bulk of the funding is tied to programs, it's tied to a development agenda, and it's a handful, a proportion of that goes to research, And so I think the first consideration that we need to make at a national level is to align. I think align is weaker word. Maybe I would say extract from the strategic frameworks themselves. So, for example, for Malawi, with the Malawi 2063, we've in the health sector with the health sector strategic plan. There's a lot of investment, national investment, that goes into developing these documents, and I think sometimes we see students coming with questions that literally are not clearly impactful, when maybe the back of the investment would have been for them to read, ascertain with the supervisors how important those questions are to the or closely aligned to the national agenda. So I think that's the key as researchers. To what extent do we invest in understanding what's already there in the national agendas? And I think the second one is then connected to that, we need to then invest in providing real solutions. I think yesterday the keynote speaker, I think, challenged us to see we need to move beyond and become entrepreneurs. Need to think about entrepreneurship in research, because I think that's really important. There's a lot of applications I moved around, and I was asking some of the innovators, have you worked around the value for money? What benefit when, for example, somebody wants to invest in this? How can we demonstrate the value of that investment? So we need to think as as entrepreneurs, because there's a difference between innovation and getting it funded, and so that requires entrepreneurship. And I think the last one would be then integrating measures, building the capacity, the competences to demonstrate return on the investment, return on research. Research funding is taking money that can go to service delivery. So our funding, for example, our program is funded via the Health Joint Fund in the ministry. Every time we are engaging with government, we're trying to minimize taking that money away from services and fund research. So we have to demonstrate that the research we're conducting with that money, which could treat a patient now, a patient that would die because that money is not available, is then funding something that is creating value. I think that's something that I think is a challenge for us, and an area that that requires building from our end as well.
I wanted us to stick to your very first point, because you wrapped that up with a question, and you had said, to what extent do you make the consideration to make an investment into a health research project? Wanted to understand on what tenets, or perhaps what sort of basis do you provide such type of a consideration, or what needs to be running on the mind of a researcher wanting to get that investment into that project?
I hope I got you. Yeah, so let's take an example of the health sector strategic plan. So in creating that document, there's a process of situation analysis, a bottleneck analysis, and so the issues that we're grappling as researchers to take to policymakers are already known to a large extent. And so maybe what's missing probably is clarity to translate that into actionable research questions. So in that sense, the first point to invest is for us to understand or the capacity to extract and improve on what's already available. Or rather than, instead of investing to one work around the problem, and then you work around the solution and go market. When that problem is already clarified, defined, the solution is broadly defined, specifics are what's missing. So I think researchers can leverage on that to kind of align as quickly as possible to and of course eliminate now the risk of going to convince someone that this is important. because you're then talking same language with the policy makers in that sense. Yeah.
While still riding on the same thought, what impact does delay or perhaps donor funding suspension have on Malawi's health sector?
Yeah, I think there's already a lot of knowledge on what's happened. So maybe at the back of our mind with the USG, United States government funding cuts. And so the immediate impact has been on service delivery, disruptions, and reorganization most of services. We've done an analysis on the potential impact. I would say that the part that's not known now is from a research side, and I also think that's an opportunity if we think about it. The back of the technical assistance and research programs were part of the package that was seen as non-essential. And so that's kind of cut off. A lot of technical assistance was tied to programs, to NGOs, and as universities, mostly were scavenging on that as consultants, as researchers. So I think that's kind of a gap that I see developing. And I want also to be positive. I think with that, it also creates this opportunity for us to fill that gap as local researchers, as local analysts, to fill the gap that was taken up by externally funded programs, projects. And so, yeah, so I think that's an opportunity for researchers. And
I'm going to have to get back to you, Doc, but to you, Dr. Kambalame, the idea behind having a health research is for us to achieve having actionable and measurable results. Perhaps if the question would rise that how well has Malawi integrated research evidence into policy and practice, how best do we get to respond to that?
Thank you very much. Indeed, Malawi has made notable progress in integrating research into policies as well as the programs to inform practice as well. Yeah, so I will tackle this question into two perspectives. Yeah, because as a country, we have Ministry of Health, which is there to set the policies as one way of creating an enabling environment for such things to happen. Yeah, so as a ministry, there are a number of things that have happened, including developing a health policy that sets ground for evidence use. It promotes use of evidence in decision making and practice. And in line with that policy, there's a health sector strategic plan 3. Pillar number 7 of that health sector strategic plan actually stresses the importance of using evidence in decision making and policy development. And FIM, which is Public Health Institute of Malawi, is a department within the Ministry of Health, is mandated actually to promote the use of evidence, and has got its strategic plan with its pillar number 2, which is aimed at improved execution of evidence generation and use. So these instruments actually, they provide an enabling environment to make sure that as a country we are able to integrate research into policies. So there are also other mechanisms that have been put in place. For example, each program and department, there is associated technical working group or a sub-TWG. So actually this provides the forum where researchers and policy makers, they do meet actually to discuss the policy needs and the evidence that is required actually to advance policy agenda as well as practice. And we have also seen in 2012, Malawi established a knowledge translation platform Malawi to reduce the gap between the researchers and the policy makers to improve the uptake of evidence. So since the development of or establishment of the knowledge translation platform,
we have seen other institutions beyond the Ministry of Health coming up with other instruments. Like for now, I think we know we have what we call HEP at the College of Medicine, I mean now COHES, which is more into health economics committee of practice. So it's doing a lot of work actually in influencing policy, more especially economic evaluation and the like. I think Dominic knows better. And also recently we have seen a learning center, quality learning center being developed at COHES, which is also supporting the Quality Management Directorate at the ministry to provide the platform that ensures that evidence is being used to influence decisions. Yeah, so I can just give a few examples as to how, Malawi has progressed in terms of how research has been used to influence policy and practice. Yeah, so we have HIV is one of the top 3 killers in Malawi. And because of research, we saw that now we have what we call HIV diagnostic assistants. So these are lay persons. Yeah, so there has been some sort of task shifting. So this has happened because of local research that informed that, okay, even these lay people can do CD4 count. So that research informed the practice and policy. Yeah, and also like in mental health, yeah, we have seen how depression screening and has been integrated into HIV management, because there was a discovery that those people living with HIV, they are prone to depression, and that affects their health outcomes. So we have seen some policy changes and practice. Now we see that the screening services of depression also happen at the points where there are HIV management services. And in TB, recently we have seen the computer-aided digital X-ray that has been rolled out for screening of HIV in key population. Yeah, so this is also an outcome of research that was conducted locally, and it shaped the way we do things in HIV. So as you can see, that the integration of evidence in policy development as well as the practice has been so strong in Malawi, even though it's uneven in other programs. Thank you.
All right. You said it is quite uneven in other programs. That means even the interventions, as much as they get to be registered, the measurable results are not as convincing. Perhaps there could be problems surrounding institution as well as governance issues. What are some of the institutional as well as governance gaps that are hindering the translation of research findings into a scalable innovation that can drive economic growth?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, yes, of course, indeed. I know I just mentioned TB, HIV, and NCD. So these are also strong programs in the Ministry of Health. But we still have challenges in other programs because of, weak knowledge translation mechanisms within those programs. Yeah, so as you can see that you need to have a forum where you are going to have those researchers and the policymakers, they have to interact. So demand need to be created, yeah, and then research need to be carried out and then find a way into the policy. But when knowledge translation platform Malawi was being developed, was supposed to take care of all these things. But right now, it's not that active. And what is active right now is those kind of knowledge brokers that are specific to a certain subject. Like I mentioned, the HEP and economic as part of health economics. And I also mentioned Learning Center, which focuses on quality management. But it means for many more programs are indeed suffering, so there's a need to have robust knowledge translation mechanisms. And also, in most cases, there's high staff turnover. So new staff comes in without that capacity of synthesizing knowledge, to translate knowledge. Yeah, so there's a need for resources to be there to make sure that these people are trained, and also this calls for integration of some of these services into the pre-service training, where there should be strong collaboration between the academia and the ministry. Yeah, so that actually those so that when the students are graduating, they should have those kind of skills to translate knowledge. And another issue is sufficient institutional frameworks to systematically prioritize our research needs and also funding to fund such priorities. And these challenges slow down the scale up of innovations, as you might appreciate. And also, when you are talking about knowledge translation, actually it's a continuum, and where we see that there's a basic research through clinical research, maybe to implementation research. Yeah, and when you're talking of improving knowledge translation, we think of bridging the gap between the researchers as well as policymakers, but we forget one stakeholder, I mean the industry. Yeah, so we don't have these forums where we can bring on board industries. Like last year, I think in the forum like this one, there was a discussion on why we're even failing to manufacture. For example, even some antibiotics, painkillers, and the like, and yet our medical field has been advancing. Yeah, so I think that's a piece that we are missing. So if you can look at these challenges and make some decisions, at least maybe we can improve the transition from research to innovation.
I'll ask you one question each before we move to our audience, or open up to the audience. Back to you, Professor Mula. There's much that has been uttered by the fellow panelists. Perhaps you may wish to, compliment rather a thing or two. While you're at it, I also due to address the question: what are the main challenges to multidisciplinary collaboration in Malawi's academic setting?
Okay, thank you. So the challenges, some of it is financial. So, I mean, research works very well when there is funding. It's not like we cannot do research without external funding, but when external funding or even internal funding, but reasonable amounts of funds are available that would facilitate research. It's not always the case that such kind of funding is available for multidisciplinary research. It's funding in multidisciplinary research is increasing, but often one sees that it's one discipline getting funded or getting the funding. The other thing is, I would say, our attitudes to work together, collaborate is improving. Because where disciplines feel like they can solve problems by themselves, then they may not be as outward looking to ensure that they work with others. But also others are from the outside are not willing or able to come into research. In terms of knowledge translation, that also is an area that can be disciplinary. I mean, the approaches could be different. In my discipline, for something to be meaningful, you're looking at maybe having conducted a systematic review or a meta-analysis. Now, in some disciplines, these things don't exist, like systematic review or meta-analysis. They may not exist because of the discipline that is there. So there could be tension, because one person from one discipline will want translation to occur only and only if there is a systematic review or meta-analysis. Another person wants maybe translation of just one study, maybe exploratory. They're already running up and down, knocking on the policy woman's door. They want to change policy for the country. The other thing is limited understanding of the context, social, political, economical, and so on. Take a medicine, a drug that is effective. If you're doing unidiscipline research, you make sure that that medicine is useful for treatment. But others will come in and perhaps say, well, I mean, but you're giving it through an injection. That would be a problem for some people. So multidisciplinary research could enhance uptake of research findings within the country. Things have changed, because I shouldn't also be negative when I shouldn't be. The way that the Ministry of Health now functions is that there are technical working groups for most things, and nothing gets to the policy table without having been sifted in the technical working groups. Now, to facilitate that, I would say that there is also need for multidisciplinarity in the technical working groups. If we haven't been invited, maybe we need to invite ourselves. They don't turn people back as long as you can provide value to the technical working group. So that also is very valuable, that the technical working groups are working, and the policymakers, when something comes to their table, they ask what is the technical working group saying about these things. So that's extremely valuable. Thank you.
Dr. Nkoma, assertions have been made prior that many of the research projects are being done in the country to satisfy either academic or sponsors' curiosity. How can Malawi better align research priorities with funding decisions to attain a sustainable innovation ecosystem?
Yeah, I want to build from what Dr. Kambarame and Prof. Mura have said before. Yeah, so I think Dr. Kambarame has pointed at two initiatives in CUHES. So the one where we sit, the Health Economics and Policy Unit. So it's a community of practice working at the interface of policy, health policy, and, but via health economics and policy analysis. And so we also have collaborated with colleagues at Learning Center to create another community of practice, CUHES-based, but functioning in the service delivery pillar of the health sector strategic plan. And so I think with that kind of logic, we trying to facilitate, I think I'll be more practical, creation of similar structures across the 9 pillars of the health sector strategic plan. So that way, we kind of create a problem that Prof. Mura brings. That, but that means that the multidisciplinarity of research must begin in the building blocks themselves. So in the health financing pillar, for example, where we sit, although we are in that pillar, the back of the work, so the team, about 20, is multidisciplinary. We have modelers, we have medical doctors, we have public, we have epidemiologists operating in that space. So we can, so that's kind of, if you go to the Learning Center, it's also so we've good doctors, epidemiologists, economists in that building block. So we can begin to replicate that. Doing that helps that we become more practical about what I said earlier, aligning our efforts to national efforts. And so, yeah, so I'll say the first thing is aligning, being deliberate about aligning ourselves to national efforts. And the second part then goes to with government here, and also Honorable Ben Piri, we're praying that something happens. Yeah, so there's this 1% research that's government allocates. But yeah, I think maybe somebody needs to do an evaluation of how we're using that money. Because it must also answer this same question. what's the value for money for that allocation? Who uses it? Because these initiatives, for example, comes at heavy effort of the. I think there's expectation on the government that the researchers must operate and craft something for themselves. At the same time, on the research side, we also think that maybe government doesn't care so much about research. I think we need to get to where government is also deliberate about supporting these things. The interventions that I highlighted, is kind of demonstrate. So the money goes through government prioritizes research, and then we execute. So the 1% could also best be aligned to that. There are initiatives, for example, the NIF. We need to reevaluate that kind of money. If, for example, seed money is presented to professors and say, okay, we know your competence is in this area, but we've a national gap here, and you've networks. You can also your experience in building teams. So I think that's kind of an opportunity with the resources, the capacity, and we need to begin to direct, to incentivize them to get to work with government, because I think that's kind of the challenge. I always talk about my director. He's an ethics professor. So he's already fine in his area, So government has also to be deliberate to push him to begin to build capacity in an area that benefits government, like we're doing. I think that's for me is key. Aligning from the research side, getting ourselves deliberate to align to policy, and on the policy side, creating the funding that Prof. Moore alluded to. It doesn't have to be all the funding that's needed to run. It could be funding to help the professor, for example, set up administrative capacity to then begin to bid for bigger grants. So, yeah, maybe I could end there. Right. I think the last point I made, I think I'll come back to it if I have time, that I think organization is very important. So when I was in agriculture, I learned one important word, a phrase that I keep using. They say the future belongs to the organized. See, where you end up, so it's not an accident, It's a reflection of your organization. So I think most of our research currently is very passive, that there's funding, we get connected to that funding, we run up and down, and so in the end, of course, we keep jumping from one topic to another, but we don't build systems around our work. So I think beginning to get organized, but to get organized, you still need this seed funding that I alluded to. Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Nkuma. One more time, let's put our hands together for the panelists, please. The very last 30 minutes of this panel discussion will be open to you guys. Be there questions as well as comments. We would like you to speak on site. We're having 2 individuals with roving microphone. You'll be requested to raise your hands. I'll recognize 4 individuals at a go, and then you ask your questions, provide your comments, keep them brief so that our panelists can respond to site. But for now, we're going to take a 5 minutes breather and be serenaded with the poetry performance, because we do believe that the power of poetry is that everyone gets to experience it differently, and there are no rules as to what makes great poetry. Understanding it shouldn't be about the elements of it, but how well it connects to people's situations as well as circumstances. Let's get to see how it connects to our situation today. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Sumaya Isa.
1, 2, 1, 2. Afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having me stand here and do a poetry performance. Sumaya Isa, as already mentioned, I am a spoken word poet who has been performing for KUHES for a number of years now. I think this is my third time being at a similar conference. So I'm very honored that they have maintained their relationship with me. And I hope that through my poetry this afternoon, we get to be inspired in some way. Thank you very much. My poetry this afternoon is titled, The Innovation We Owe Ourselves. We sit in candlelit corners, contemplating of a light that will live beyond the melting candle wax. A thread that survives the test of time. We are a nation not of lack, but sometimes our doors are locked and our labs silenced. Knowledge blooming in isolation. Our data held back, not always given room for progress. But dream in silence. We train minds that leave or stay without fuel, while the bright ideas fade in fluorescent lit rooms. They told us, innovation is the engine of growth, but we mistook it for shiny things. Imported scans, foreign plans, a paper policy with dust on its wings, yet beneath is the dust of fire. A researcher in Zuzu turning mobile phones into lifelines for maternal care. A student in Blantyre building diagnostics from local parts for local lungs. A farmer's wisdom shared in forums, now tested in labs. That's science with soul, that's research with rhythm, but still we rise. Because funding can find new paths, led by our voices, rooted in the needs of our clinics and the hopes of our healers. Because we are learning to speak as one, economists with insights, doctors with healing hands and grounded truths, sociologists with the stories that bring policies to life. And what if we linked it all? What if we linked it all? What if the data danced with the story? And what if policy listened to the patient? What if our engineers built around the doctor's vision? What if our youth stayed? They stayed home because they could innovate here, create here, be heard here. What if One Health wasn't just a conference slogan, but a way of seeing the land, the livestock, the lungs of this nation as one system, needing one solution, rooted in our soil. Innovation isn't foreign. It's a midwife's trick with a thread and a needle. It's a community health worker tracking fevers on her phone. It's a village headman co-creating with a PhD. It's us finally seeing that research is not just for journals, but the change we yearn for. So let us invest not just resources, but trust and time and belief in our minds. Let us fund not just medicine, but momentum. The ministries, let them meet. Let the silos crack. Let the knowledge flow. Let, like the Shira River, feeding fields, changing lives, fueling futures. Malawi, we're not behind. We are becoming. Innovation is not an import, it is a birthright, and the time to deliver is now. Thank you.
Such a beautiful poetry performance by Sumaya Isa. One more time, let's give her a round of applause, please. All right, now without taking too much of your time, as earlier communicated, we are having two roving microphone, two individuals. Where are you guys? May you please stand wherever you are. So if you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand. I will recognize 4 individuals at a go, and then you ask, provide comments so that they can be responded to. I recognize you, sir. May you please stand? Can we have 3 more people? Yes, you, and you, ma'am, and of course, I think we'll need 1 more person. Okay, so I think we can start with him, and then we'll proceed to the other person before we get to you, ma'am.
Okay, I can start. Thank you. Thank you so much to our distinguished panelists. My question is simple. What is the role of young researchers like myself in this space of multidisciplinary research? I'm asking this question because Prof mentioned that in terms of multidisciplinary research, someone should come with some expertise. So for us, we may not have that expertise. So what is our role? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for a beautiful conversation. Mine is just a simple one. In terms of my observation is that a lot of research are happening when there is a threat. For example, there was a threat of COVID-19. We saw a lot of funding coming in and a lot of us doing research on other ways in terms of COVID-19. Mpox is the same. As Malawians, don't we have that platform that we can do research to build our system as a healthy system without looking at those coming threats? And in addition to that, how willing is the government in terms of not interfering into what Dr. Kambame was explaining in terms of arrogance on other important research results? We have seen that even the results, when it is positive, then we put negative just for us to access funds. So how can we do with that? Thank you.
Thank you very much, our panelists, for the beautiful elaboration on the issues that you have tackled. I have a question to Professor Muhula. We have conducted multidisciplinary health research, innovations, we have had them. Now, how do we make sure that these ones reach our policymakers and they are absorbed by our policymakers? The next question is, and that one goes to any of the panelists. We are talking about research and innovations. As a country, what are we doing to make sure that whatever we are doing is ethically and culturally correct? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I guess before we get to recognize 3 or 4 more individuals, let's have our panelists respond to such first. We'll start with you, Professor Mola. Can we have the microphones, please? Or perhaps...
Thank you. So, Dr. Maki, your first question is, what is the role of a young researcher? So, I would start from what is the task that the young researcher must achieve. Now, one of the challenges I see with young researchers is often wanting to run it alone. You know, somebody has just graduated from KUHES last year, and today he comes to me and say, oh, can you look at this for me? I want to submit a grant for $500,000. Then, of course, I can look at it, but what I should be saying is that that's not going to happen. Nobody is going to give you $500,000 when you just graduated last year. So I guess the young researcher must embed themselves, learn, grit, and so on. Not all of them are like that, and I'm directly opposite Dr. Malata, the young one. I followed her. She graduated, finished her internship. Now she's being mentored by our dean, given tasks, some of them thankless, and so on. So if there was anything, and for my junior colleagues who know Dr. Malata, I would say find some time over tea and ask her, because what she's doing is what I should have done when I was her age. I will not. I will then answer the next question, and then the others would. How do we get policymakers to respond? Policymakers are human beings with emotions, with preferences, and so on. So my former head of department, Professor Mfutso Bengu, when he goes to GIZ, he speaks in German with the German ambassador. So I was there, I'm watching. I'm like, okay, so they speak in German and so on. When we get to the policymakers, only when we want something from them, then it becomes difficult. I've seen a few policymakers here. That's one of the things that we can do together. Nowadays, also, it's possible to work with people from Ministry of Health in our research groups. When I started, it was wrong for a policymaker to be involved in research, and it was wrong for a researcher in medical sciences to influence policy. They said that you publish, you present, and you watch. Things have changed because the world probably works differently. So developing networks, collaborations, supporting the policymakers, almost like bribery, really. But without that, then, it becomes very difficult because we are dealing with humans. What is it for them? Not like money, but how are you trying to solve their problems and make work useful? Researchers must be good people. If, as others are arrogant, then why should I listen to you? Because I also don't listen to arrogant people. So the researcher or the policymaker is the same. Same. I mean, the student who refuse to answer questions in class, and then they come and say, I should supervise them, it doesn't work that well. I may, because I'm employed, but it doesn't work that well. But somebody who, you know, that sort of thing. So, I mean, we should seek opportunities where we are nice, professionally nice, and the policymaker will be also nice. And so when we get resources also, then ensure that the policymaker isn't just to rubber stamp decisions from the researchers. Lastly, the good thing now is that most of the policymakers are also well learned. Maybe in the past there could be one or two people, but now the whole policymakers could also be researchers. So we are dealing with colleagues that will understand the language. Thank you.
All right. I'll build my response actually on what Professor Muller has submitted. Yeah, regarding what the researchers must do to ensure that their research finds a way into the policy. Yeah, so at the ministry level, you know, there are some governance structures that would actually enable researchers to influence policy. I mentioned the issue of technical working group. So I think it is very important for researchers to understand the functionality of these technical working groups. Luckily enough, there is a paper by, I think, Mario de Sakara and et al. That was published in 2023 that looks at the functionality of technical working groups in Malawi. So if you go through that paper, you are going to learn how technical working groups in the ministry are organized and which technical working group you can target as a researcher so that you should have interaction with the policymakers, and also that your research should be demand driven. Now let me go back to that question regarding the platform for conducting research when there's no threat. It's indeed very true, not only in Malawi, but in other countries as well. When there's a threat such as COVID, mpox, money is released to ensure public health and security. As Malawi, we have taken a step actually to develop a national health research agenda, which has got over 10 themes. Yeah, from infectious diseases, NCDs, health systems, and the like. So this is also another document. It's a policy document, yeah, that you can take a look and see the national priorities. And also there are a number of funding mechanisms in Malawi that do exist. I know the National Commission for Science and Technology, they have a small grants program. And we also know other organizations that do the same. So you are not only limited to epidemic-prone diseases, or you are not just limited to the time when we have such an incident to conduct research. In terms of arrogance related to the findings of research, I think Malawi is one of those countries that provide an enabling environment to the researchers to ensure that they have freedom. And to ensure this is happening, we have what we call National Health Sciences Research Committee at the national level, which actually review the study protocols for scientific and ethical soundness. So this is an independent body. Yeah. So the ministry itself doesn't have a say, doesn't have a hand. It's an independent body that looks into that, and we don't challenge the findings, and there's no arrogance. Yeah, so if maybe you come across such kind of a thing, find us. But as far as we know, people here are free. At a dissemination conference like this, they are free to disseminate their findings without fear. And of course, we also encourage dissemination of findings. As you can see, or as you might be aware, that the Public Health Institute of Malawi has also organized another national health research dissemination. That is to encourage researchers actually to disseminate their findings. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I think maybe let me just add on policy engagement a bit. How do we get our evidence to policymakers quickly? For me, this is a space that we've developed under the leadership of Prof. Mfuso. So when I joined, coming from government, I thought we should be the think tank. So I brought the idea that maybe we can be thinking for government since they are busy people. But see, what Prof. Mfuso Bengo suggested, and that's where we've built much of our competences, is maybe why don't we think about a thinking together type of think tank where we acknowledge, as Prof. Mura indicates, government now has changed. No, there's PhD holders in governments holding government positions, senior government positions, leadership positions, and so these are researchers, but operating as policymakers. So I think it's creating that space, a thinking together platform where we co-create, and so once we co-create, I think the rest of the systems structure themselves. So, but if you really invest a lot of time doing the research and then going to market, I think we need a lot of grace to really get the interest of the policymakers. So I think embracing this thinking together type and understanding that sometimes the policymakers know best the questions, they also know best the methods, but they don't have the time. And also maybe, yeah, so we come in, clarify the questions, but then we're leveraging on the structures in government. And yeah, so I thought we could bring our experience in that. And I think for the first question, young researchers, I think I will add what my Prof. Mura said. I think the role of young researchers to make yourselves available, especially available to learning. I think currently in this age of AI, I think what I see is that most young graduates, I think jump quickly. They want the money quickly. But you see, there's no shortcut. I think I've come late in research. I think there's no shortcut to building the competences that you need later in life. So I'll say your role is to invest in yourself as much as possible with the competences that you need when you then becoming a researcher. So in the phase of learning, I think that's the opportunity you have to learn. You know, when responsibilities begin to pick up in your work and at home, I think the chances to learn become slim. So I think when you have the opportunity, you've hired, and also in that, I think now there's, I think we've talked about dwindling research funding. What I see now is that most young researchers that are making it are coming to volunteer to work in a research group, pick whatever is there. I think maybe something that we need to preach that the formal education system currently provides limited opportunities for the skills that you get in the workplace. So before going and say, I want to be a researcher, I think the Prof. Moore will be a business person, my director will be a business person. You need to go and say, I can do a little bit of Excel based analysis. Okay. We ask, can you do a basic Excel? No? Just being available to these senior researchers, support them, and then begin to learn. But you have to still bring some value or show that you are committed to learning. So I think this is something that maybe we need to train hard as we teach also. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Doc. In the interest of time, I'll recognize two more individuals, then we'll get to wrap up. Dr. Perry, and then there's a person at the very back. Yeah, so we'll start with you. Can we assist him with the working microphone, please?
Sorry, I think it's not working. Technology. Thank you very much. I want to check particularly with Prof. Moore. Languaging is my problem. Most of us in Parliament and at that level, you'll find that you've done research, but many of you are speaking but not communicating. You are speaking to Professor Taulo and you understand each other. When it comes to that level, not much has been done. That the languaging that a politician wants to understand is really reduced to his acceptance. I'll give you a good example. I was involved in Zambia and Mozambique, and they were trying to bring in one here, abortion bill. The results and the benefits enormous. But I'll tell you what, as long as they continued and research papers presented on the same, the presenter of that bill today has lost elections. Why? He took it as it was, but he did not communicate. We went to Zambia, changed the languaging to pregnancy management bill, and it passed. In Malawi, we spoke to researchers. They kept on saying, abortion, abortion. And here we are. In Zambia again, we went there. They wanted to do comprehensive sexual education curriculum. In Malawi, as long as it is sexual, anything that says sex is not going to pass. Researchers and scientists are maintaining the same. They tended there and said life skills. And it passed. So I want to, and I mean the project that I'm doing is to look at communication barriers that really hinders global health communication, which results into probably commodities expiring when everybody wants it because of communication. What are you doing, or what do you advise young researchers and everybody to make sure we tone down? We should have an academic discussion when it comes to languaging on your part. When it gets to us on the political front, the language is toned down a bit for understanding. I want you to have your reflection on the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The person at the very back.
Yeah, thank you so much, our moderator and the panelist. My question goes to the minister via Dr. Kambarame. It's about the issue with the donor-driven agenda, as well as or versus the government priority areas. I recognize and understand that you mentioned to say there are some documents within the ministry that governs how or which priority areas are as far as research is concerned. But I think you can agree with me, the audience and everyone here, to say there is a significant portion of health research that actually is funded by external agencies. And these external agencies, usually, they have the priorities which are not aligned to the most pressing needs of the Malawians. Now, my question is, apart from having documents that are there, what are other interventions or strategies that are put in place to make sure that we narrow down this gap so that even the government, the donor agencies, when they're coming with their priority areas for research, they take into consideration on our national agenda as far as research is concerned? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you'll be the last person that I get to recognize. As the microphone is coming to you, there is also a question on social media coming through from Fraser Ngoma. Fraser says, we often hear that research and innovation can help Malawi grow. But for many ordinary people, this feels far away from their daily lives. Since health research also connects with other disciplines, how can this kind of multidisciplinary work be turned into simple, practical solutions like affordable medicines or new services that directly improve the lives of everyday Malawians? And I think you can take your question and then they will respond.
Thank you very much. I'm Nyengo Mkandawiri. Honorable Piri, I think you've stated a very good point on communication. In fact, what I wanted to raise was going to what you've talked about. Multidisciplinary research or multidisciplinary health research, we have to have in that multidisciplinary bit a politician. One of the disciplines we need to have is a politician in that multidisciplinary research. I'm a trauma surgeon, I'm an orthopedic surgeon, and I've just come from the hospital. I was working there early in the morning, and the orthopedic ward is full and full and full of trauma injuries. And the culprit is motorcycle accidents. And there's been research, data, papers all over the place for the last 10 years or so. And why we need that politician in the multidisciplinary group is the implementation. Of course, we've talked about implementation, research and results and whatever. Is the implementation of recommendations that are already there. So you started us off with multidisciplinary. How can we engage that politician as part of the multidisciplinary research? Because Honorable Piri, in a joking way, the cycle of government is changing, and the boys are seeing Anyamata as Ibangandalama. And meanwhile, we're losing money because of increasing trauma. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, To our panelists, we do have some limited time. May I humbly request you to respond to the questions and try to keep the answers brief. I'll start with you, Professor.
The only question I may not answer is the one that you're finishing, how to engage politicians, because I'm naive in that area. But in terms of language, language is critical because you have to communicate. If you're not communicating, then you're alone. So I very much appreciate that. Before I graduated in medicine, I graduated in journalism at the Polytechnic. So we were doing language to understand issues. And there may not be ready-made answers. I think the language people need to come, and we need to work with them in order to identify what sort of language may be suited for what sort of activities and so on. I would feel offended if my relatives, when we have our sick parent and they are in hospitals and they call and they don't speak in the language that we are used to. Because what people do is they call you achimwene, pachatiri kuchipatala, zibwerani. That's what they say. Muli kulilongwe, zibwerani. So you don't ask, ndizibweranso bwanji, you just come back. And when you come back, you find it, kuti it was in the zibwerani. So language, very important. If you minimize language, my friend, I would have, if he was here, I would have mentioned him. My friend, 2 years ahead of me in med school, we came to Queens and he was an intern. What did he say to the patient? He says, ndikosomolere ninkamwa. Or ndipumire ninkamwa. Like breathe while you know. And the patient thought that must really breathe into the mouth of the doctor. And this was a TB suspect. Ndipumire ninkamwa. You know, that sort of thing. So it's language is very important. I would guess practically at KUHES our language department is yet to develop fully into a fully fledged and active center, but that should come in. No, I shouldn't promise. You are with the DVC there. So I shouldn't promise. So that should come in. The last point, my colleagues should answer the other ones. But Dr. Nkoma continues, and I continue to argue on one basis. And he said that government must, this is how government, like talking about the civil service. And we argue with him because I say also those of us in KUHES are government. I say to Nkoma and say, one of the days I want to try and steal from KUHES DVC and see what happens. I'll be charged with theft by public servant. Now when it comes to stealing, you're saying I'm a public servant, I'm government. When I interact, you say you're not government. So, you know, the system of countries is such that the government, there is a civil service, and then the government makes its own government, but detaches it to be the university, to be the sort of checks, research, interaction, thinking, and so on. Still government, but with that sort of space to work in. So maybe what I'm saying is that those of our colleagues in the civil service who looks at public universities as not government, that one is an erroneous view. Maybe if we change that sort of perception, it will get easier. We are also government. Yeah. The other thing is that, you know, we say that the agendas are developed by USAID, they are developed by CDC, external fund. It's not entirely correct. Because when the CDC Malawi office is developed, they develop it in Lilongwe and send it to Washington. The same with USAID. We were involved in previous USAID program of work. It's developed, it is developed here and then sent. So maybe we also need skills to engage with the funders as to what is our priorities.
All right. So, in addition to what Prof. Muller has submitted, yeah, of course, it is true that substantial research is funded by external agencies. Yeah, because largely we find that researchers do apply the grants to conduct research, and that means that maybe in Malawi funding is not available locally. So this problem, of course, has been recognized at the international as well as at the regional level, and that gave birth to Asia's declaration that says that for every government, more especially for healthy budget, 2% of the budget should be directed towards research, and 5% of donor-funded projects should also be directed towards research activities. So what we don't have in Malawi are the frameworks that will actually look into it to see that those actual commitments are implemented at the country level. Of course, there are circulars that have been circulated indicating that when cost centers are actually making their budgets, 2% should be dedicated towards research, but in most cases this does not happen, possibly because maybe there's no demand. So even at the regional level, at the Africa CDC level, they've come up with the two. Countries validated the two, so it's part, we can say this two does not belong to Africa CDC, but belong to African countries because we validated and we adopted the two. So this Africa CDC framework empowers institutions, including hospitals, could be departments, could be at any level, to identify research priorities that could be used for advocacy. So suppose the donor comes into your area, then you can simply show that priority list of the questions, research questions that you have actually come up with from that kind of research prioritization framework. And I think to ensure that we do realize the efforts, international efforts as well as regional efforts, as Malawi, we need to come up with a framework of how we're going to operationalize the Asia's declaration and ensure that we really have a research fund that will fund lots of projects that they do like funding and they only wait for funding from donors. Thank you.
Well, unless if there is anything to add to that, I'm hoping that all the questions have been responded to. Okay. Well, thank you very much. One more time, let's put our hands together for our panelists this afternoon for such an in-depth conversation. Now, as we are wrapping up activities for this afternoon, I'm feeling more of being a generous human being, and because of such, I'm having some t-shirts. I'll ask very few simple questions, 3 to be more precise. You get them right, you get yourself a t-shirt extra to the one that you already have right now. So can I have the assistance of the officials with the t-shirts? Because here goes the first question. What are the names of our 3 panelists? Please raise your hand and, okay, you go first, ma'am. Give her a microphone. Or you can scream out loud. Listen. Pay attention, please. Yes?
Company Kambalame, and then we have Dr. Dominic Nkoma. Thank you.
A big hand for her. Please give her a t-shirt. This year's Science Cafe. What's the theme for this year's Science Cafe? This year's Science Cafe. What's the theme? What theme were we tackling? Because we just had this conversation for like, okay, you go for, yes, I saw you first, sir. We're just talking about this for like an hour, 30 minutes. Yes, him.
Thank you. Multidisciplinary health research and innovation.
I can hear you.
Okay, this year's the theme is multidisciplinary.
Wait. Mind turning around? Turn around, please, and respond to the question. Yes? What's the answer?
Okay, fine. So this year's theme is multidisciplinary research, health research, and towards innovation, towards the key to development.
Let's try another one. At the very back, there's a lady at the very back. There's a lady at the very back. I think someone there. Yes. Yes, her, the one who's standing. The one standing at the very back. And turn around.
It's linking the multidisciplinary health, multidisciplinary research, innovation, linking the multidisciplinary research, health.
Is that it for that? Come on, for Solina, eh? Romero? Yes, ma'am. Last one. If she gets it wrong, technically, we're skipping that question.
It's multidisciplinary health research.
Wait.
Multidisciplinary health research and innovation, key to economic development.
Is she right? Yes. You get to be the judges. Is she right?
Yes.
Okay, so nobody got that question right. Unfortunately, we had the conversation for 3 hours and nobody did. Another one, perhaps the last one. Let's get to see. So last one. This year's RDC conference. What's the theme for this year's RDC conference? Yes, sir. You're trying so hard to close your eyes. Let's give him a big hand and provide him with a t-shirt, please. Okay. And last one. What is multi-disciplinary? 1 word, 79 pronunciations. What does the word multidisciplinary mean? Yes, sir.
So as Prof. Mura taught us, many disciplinary, different disciplines. So different disciplines coming together with a common agenda in research.
Is he right? Let's give him a big hand, please, and provide him with a t-shirt. And thank you very much for being a part of this. One more time, let's put our hands together for our panelists. They have done such an outstanding job. At this point, may I invite Professor Chimwaza has some special presents for you guys before you get to leave the stage. DJ, can you play some music in the background, please?
Want me to say Sinjani? Sinjani? Congratulations.
This one is very useful.
This one?
For a birthday.
For your birthday? It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Let's sing a happy birthday song to him.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Then our next, okay. The next person is Dr. Kambalami. Please come for your present.
I wanted to take a picture.
And then Dr. Nkoma. Prof, did I get a picture with you? Let's do it again. I didn't know they were so serious. Thank you. I would also like to thank our moderator. You've done a fantastic job. We can give you coffee afterwards. Young Joseunda, he's done a good job, hasn't he? Yes, let's clap hands for him. The lady who gave us a poem, Sumeya Isa, your poem was just in line with the theme. Let's give her a round of applause. I would also like to thank Honorable Piri, Ben Piri. Is he gone? He's just left. He mentioned something very important about language. And it's not just language in research, but even language in the language we use in hospitals. It just reminded me of a woman whose marriage almost ended because she had a diagnosis of abortion. She went out of the hospital and the husband says, I've been wanting a baby all these years and you have aborted. The medics had to explain, no, it's not that I didn't want the baby. It was abortion. That's what they call miscarriage in the hospitals. So, yeah. I would like to thank the COO of UGI. Thank you very much for funding us. And we have taken you seriously. You have promised us more funding next year. So we look forward to that. And the audience, I want to thank you. You've just been amazing. We've been here from early in the morning. May God bless you for your patience. I think with those few remarks, I know everyone is tired. I will just say thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Prof, for such wonderful remarks. And with such words, we have definitely come to the very end of this afternoon's panel discussion. Thank you very much for being such a cooperative audience, listening one, and also contributing to what we were discussing. My name is Yanko Sounda, and to those that were watching us live on Times Television, as well as our Facebook page, Times 360 Malawi, we appreciate you guys being a part of this conversation. Until next time, hopefully, have a good one, and please go to the rest of the other areas where the conference continues. God bless. Good night.
Hello, we have refreshments outside. Please, let's grab something before we go. See you tomorrow. We are starting at 8 in the morning. Have a lovely evening. Thank you.